Thank you very much, Wolfgang Streeck, for coming today to Holland. I've been watching your lecture or your speech today, your discussion with Ewald Engelen, and I'm really surprised that the way you talked about our economy and how economy functions. I am part of a group of people who want to have monetary reforms, and also are looking into complementary currencies. Could you say something about complementary currencies and their impact on our economy, and what you think about that?
By complementary currencies, you mean what?
I'm a president of the foundation that's called Local Currency, and we promote interest-free currencies.
Yeah. This is a very interesting idea. And if one thinks back to the 1920s and 1930s, there was a wide debate everywhere in the world on a different currency regime, more socially compatible, and sometimes complementary to the official currency, and sometimes like 100% money, Vollgeld, and all of these things. All of these debates have disappeared from the agenda, but they are coming back, and they must come back, because the monetary regime that now exists is basically anarchistic. It is out of control, it's very dangerous, and a very fundamental debate on the nature of money and how money should be organized in the future is very much due today.
The local currency that we promote is an interest-free currency that is actually based on mutual credit, and there's a part of it that's what I want to ask you about, the interest-free part. What do you think about that?
I'm not a specialist in monetary economics, but the basic idea strikes me as very valid, because for ecological and all sorts of other reasons, we need to modify, if not eliminate, this pressure in the monetary system to increase the amount of resources or of trade all the time in order to be able to pay back our interest. The interest is a mechanism that requires growth. If you want to move towards an economy that has less growth or is stationary, then you have to do something about the interest mechanism. I can fully see this without being able to take the side of one model or another.
I mean, one of the functions of the bank is to see if you give a mortgage or a loan, if somebody can pay that back. That they ask money for the labor that they put as an administration company. That the interest is no more valid. I've been on the Erasmus Universiteit in Rotterdam, and they had an interview with Teunis Brozens from ING, and they talk about how banks create money out of nothing. Teunis Brozens, I asked him, is it correct that every one real euro you can borrow 25 times now? Before the crisis it was 33 times. And then ask interest on that. That's an enormous amount of interest a year on the one real euro.
Yeah, and imagine that banks can now go to the central bank and get money, and then they take interest on it in a way which has nothing to do with the original idea of interest, that some people refrain from consuming, and then they get a premium for not consuming their money and give it to someone else. The modern monetary system has nothing to do with this. Money is not savings. It is out of thin air created by a fiat by independent central banks.
You made a comparison for this concept of one central currency with all currencies like satellites around the sun, like IMF, International Monetary Fund. Could the local currencies function like that around the euro?
Lots of people have thought so, and there are places where these experiments are actually running, as you know. In the United States, there are quite a few places on the East Coast where people are trying to use to introduce local money as a complementary currency. There were experiments with this during the World Economic Crisis in Austria and other places. And in Switzerland, there are wide areas, wide parts of the country, and the Swiss know a lot about money anyway, where this sort of thing is being used and quite successfully.
You talk about the Weer.
Yeah.
Wirtschaftsbank.
The Weer, yeah. I am, as I said, I'm not a specialist in this. What I do know is that today we have to think very fundamentally, not just about money, about the way we run our economies, and money is a central part of this. And your ideas should be taken very seriously in this context because they can help sharpen our mind to recognize that the money that we now have is not the only kind of money that one could have, and that it might not be the most socially useful.
You spoke a little bit about the dangers that we're in because this system is falling down on itself. It's imploding, kinda. The dollar as an international trading coin is also the power is diminishing. You see the BRICS countries starting their own monetary system. Do you think that our global wars have anything to do with this?
I think in the long run, if in the long run a capitalist economy needs a center, one center that serves as a lender and creditor of last resort. So initially this was Florence, then it was Amsterdam, then it was London. In the interwar period, it might have become the United States, but the US sort of refused to do this. London could no longer do it. And then there was rivalry in the world between different centers like the Germans, the Americans, the British, that wanted to fill this role of international monetary hegemon. None of them ever achieved it, and it led to enormous destruction and international conflict. After the Second World War, it was only the United States that was left in the capitalist world to play this central role. And since the 1970s, that role is slowly disintegrating, and the Americans are basically using the remnants of their monetary hegemony for their own purpose, which cannot go on forever. Yes, the fact that now people cannot agree on a joint international monetary regime is very dangerous, and it could actually result in military conflicts, first in the Pacific, then maybe somewhere else.
I have one last question, and I understood that you studied a little bit of philosophy also. Yeah. And this is quite of a personal item for me. You know, Plato described 4 different types of democracy. And you recall these 4? Yeah.
But I don't think the Greek democratic theory is very pertinent to what we have today. It was a different world. Today, questions arise in relation to the structure of public discourse, the mass media, the equality of women and immigrants, the role of labor. Remember that in the Greek democracy, labor was essentially performed by slaves, and so I think. I would take this with a grain of salt and try to begin democratic theory with the debate between Rousseau, Mill, Marx in the 19th century, where the real questions for a modern democracy have been raised.
The reason I asked you this because the 3rd type of democracy, Plato warns us for psychopaths. Not that you shouldn't have a psychopath running for president or in politics, but I say also you should watch for the psychopath in industry. And I think that we should learn something of what is happening now in this matter.
I cannot agree more.
Okay, thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, eat something. Yes, that's a great idea.